Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Truett Wagner with Disabilities Redefined with Dr. Wagner. I'm going to do a first. I had the pleasure of interviewing Marc Safman a few days ago. Marc is a very successful, energetic activist, advocate for the disabled population. He is a proud member of the deaf-blind population as well. And he wrote me this note on LinkedIn, and I asked him if I could share. But the reason I want to share is because it shows just how active he is. And let me read the note quickly. Truett, that is fantastic. Thank you again for the opportunity. Did you get the transcript from Wendy? Wendy was someone who was helping us with accommodations. I don't think I have enjoyed a conversation as much as ours. It got me thinking about so much opportunities that are waiting to be created. I was just in DC, July 28th through the 31st, meeting with staff, in-house, and Senate from several states, e.g. New York, South Carolina, North Carolina, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Florida, Wisconsin, Arizona, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. Main topics of discussion were H.R. 8859 Deafblind Data Act, the new Congressional Deafblind Caucus, and increased funding for the state deafblind education projects for DB youth. I also stressed it is time for our government to focus on facilitating opportunities versus determining discrimination or connecting supports with wealth, assets limits. Lift everyone up. I may be reached at Marc, M-A-R-C, at safmanconsulting.com, and he puts a hashtag here, deaf-blind inclusion. He is a very special guy, very, very successful, very determined, very passionate. I really did enjoy this interview. I should be thanking you, Marc, for giving me this time, and thank you for this very, very sweet message. You are a great guy, and yeah, all the best. We're going to try to get you into the studio soon, but everyone enjoy this interview.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Disabilities Redefined with Dr. Wagner. I am Dr. Truett Wagner, and I am here on, oh, sorry, yeah, they just told me to look at the camera. Okay, let's do it again then. And we're going to keep that blooper. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Disabilities Redefined with Dr. Wagner. I am Dr. Truett Wagner, and we have a very, very special guest. He has done a lot for the deaf-blind population. He is an entrepreneur, as he himself states, Marc Safman. And we are going to interview him. Believe me, I've met him a few times before. He is very energetic, very articulate, and very, very passionate about his advocacy work and the activism that he does. And that's the way you're supposed to be. So I told everybody that this was going to be an episode that we were not going to edit because I didn't want to edit anything out that this gentleman says. So enjoy this interview, and you will learn a lot.
Good. In the cart, barrel format.
Oh, I see.
Also, if I want to click on the closed caption that's available, that the captioning will cover that too.
Excellent. Okay. Well, let's start then, because we want to make sure we make the most of our time. And I'm super excited about this interview, especially on the anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act, which celebrates its 34th birthday today. That's wonderful.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember 1990. I was in college, and I had my brain surgery when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the internet exists now. The internet didn't exist, so things were a lot different. And I know that they might have had like a little news announcement, you know, the evening news, that it had been passed, but it really wasn't a big deal to me at that time, because I was still in college, and I mean, you can see like my hearing and vision had not begun to change more. So it was a period where I wasn't aware. I mean, I had my surgery. I was completely deaf in my right ear,
Right.
and I was still driving. I still had pretty good hearing in my left ear. So I really didn't, I just kind of like adapted with, sitting up close, trying to read people's lips, and I had to drop some classes because there was an echo chambers in our old main building at Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. The old main, the places where the history. Rodney Davis was a Lincoln expert, and Rod had a wonderful class called the Western Movement, and I tried to take that, but like it was just the room was an echo chamber, and I didn't realize that I could have just asked, tried to get him to transfer the class, but it really was not. So what I've learned through the years is really advocacy. It is really self advocacy, and it really does depend on the uniqueness of your situation,
And
because people really don't seem to think that they seem to think that it's always one size fits all, but people don't understand sensory challenges are
right. Well,
fundamental.
but now today at the university, thanks to the American with Disabilities Act, that would have been a reasonable accommodation, and the class would have had to have went from one room to another, so they would have had to have changed the class. So we have made progress. So that is a great way to start the interview.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you can see it now. It's like having worked, and I'm like, you see the technology with artificial intelligence and what it could do. I mean, I was just thinking about this, the like with hearing aids, or what programming a hearing aid. I'm pretty sure, even though I do have auditory processing challenges in my left ear, I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be an AI. There's got to be an AI solution in 20 years,
Right.
for
well,
something that would
well,
would
listen.
kind of like patch my bad hearing with just patching it.
Well,
And the,
yeah, but that brings us to our first question. I'm dying to ask you about opera. So I hear you are a great, big advocate and fan of the opera. So can you enjoy the opera? Do you have accommodations to enjoy it, and can you speak about that?
yeah, oh, certainly, yeah, true. It is. I used to play the clarinet, and I was moving to different types of clarinets when I had my surgery. But my face is kind of paralyzed, so I can't keep playing the woodwind with the former seal. I've loved music forever. I got into opera because my cigar smoking boss in Chicago had 100 CD player, and our even though we sold computers to the Chicago Board of Trade and just about anyone who wanted it, we he constantly played opera very loudly towards the end of the day, and sang along to various operas that he liked. And I just got into it because like the music is just so powerful,
It
and I
is.
can hear the hear I know I can hear. I couldn't make out the voices very well, but it's like, well, it's opera, it's an Italian, what do you know? Um, and I like the lights. I mean, it's the set, the lights, the singing, the music. I'm a big timpani fan, so I'm always trying to find ways. Where are the timpanis? Where are your bass, trombones? Um, the way people move with the lights. What you can see is the way the lights will different change. Just the way that the work that people do to paint. I mean, like some of the sets they repaint, they
Mm-hmm.
paint everything. Like so, those Italian masterpieces you see in the count's bedroom, whatever the heck like that, they've painted those freshly, and there's just so much creativity, artisanship, craftsmanship in making the sets.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they're doing it. And it's just phenomenal, and the technology has improved. So, I mean, if you have limited vision and hearing, for example, I know was on a panel with Sarah Morrison and Haven Gurma for the New York City Opera Guild. I mean, we have a lot of opera here in New York. And Mariana Mott, Newcomb, um, uh, um, Mariana, she was doing opera with about Helen Keller, and I ran it. I met her because she was researching for touch. But Haven had pointed out that yes, you can put barriers or you can tie strings to performers so that they can know where they are on stage. And there's just ways that you can work around that on the stage so that the people could be the performers. You have a lot of talented performers who um, people are out there, and that's also the singing. Um, what I know is that I still hear, I still see,
Oh,
but I kind of like with me in TV and videos, I will make up the dialogue. And
wow.
when you hear the different changes, when people change their voice, the emotion in their voice, or the the music tones, you hear the drum, the timpani or the violin will play a really long note, or the trumpeting will just start staccato beats or whatever. You can hear that. But it's kind of like, well, what are the people feeling? And you see the two people, a man and a woman, or woman and woman, they're singing, and the woman might be, turn her back on the man. And it's kind of like, well, I think she's upset with him. And, or the women will be, positioned, but one of them will be like, clearly, lecturing or like, telling them off. There's just things that you can see. I can still see kind of vaguely, but I
Right.
can when I hear the music and the singing combined, I really kind of like bring the merge all that, and then it just depends on how the lights. Like sometimes they'll just suddenly dim the lights and have us focus on the singers. I mean, what I like about Longren, an incredibly amazing performance where they have the performances with the lights are shining right on the performer, the whole screens, the stage is dark. And or then there's like Werther or Aida, with my favorite Aida, um, believe Norma, Norma. There's oh, I can't think of a song to the moon.
But
I
you
mean,
were
there's, oh, go ahead.
you were saying yeah, you were saying, I know, I can see you're a big opera fan, but you were saying that there was an opera about Helen Keller. Did I understand that correct? You was
Yeah. Oh, touch. The Mariana. It was commissioned by the Birmingham Opera down in Alabama, and they actually did the performance last year. Uh,
wow. I
and
love that.
she did a wonderful. The book, the bottle area. The story was about Helen Keller's relationships. And it wasn't necessarily focused on her advocacy or anything. It was like it was trying to humanize her as a person. And unfortunately, due to the contractual things, it was very hard to. They couldn't make a recording for whatever reasons.
Hmm.
But it's something that it's an opera that showed that blind people as as humans. And as I understand it, they did have a deaf blind performer or someone who was blind or deaf blind who was the actual performer. I can't remember, but they tried very hard to make sure that there were interpreters on site because you would need an interpreting team sitting with a deaf blind person to give them the
Yes.
music and the words. They could do the touch act, the touch tactile ASL or pro tactile.
Okay.
And
So that is fascinating, but I do want to move on because I know we only have a certain amount of time. I want to know, what are you working on now? Are you working on any uh, fundraising? Are you working on anything legally? Are you working on? Are you? I know you do a lot of work with politicians and fundraising. Is there something you're working on now that you would like to speak about?
yes, actually, oh wow, thank you for asking, Troy. I am um, I am going to DC next week. Right now, it's the appropriation season. A lot of people, there are no real life people with life experience, and certainly people with life experience from the sensory challenges. Our deaf-blind community, we're not represented by the deaf. We're not represented by the blind. We have very specific deaf-blind needs. There's a wonderful National Center on Deaf Blindness, and they coordinate the state deaf-blind projects. And I was just the state deaf-blind projects are actually funded by a grant through OSCP, and they have to apply for a technical grant. but the technical grant money is very, very low and ineffective. I mean, an iPad or a tablet computer, this could cost about $1,000, but to add a braille refreshable braille display, the refreshable braille display is an additional thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
There's the fact that the amount of funding that's going to the project has been flat. The old director apparently was not very positive on the program, so the sub-program funding suffered. There's a new director now. The problem, as I've seen, is that the funding is very, very low. And like, if you are not, they basically, the programs don't have enough money to pay for more than one full-time staff person. And you're supposed to, you have to do a lot of things in person with Deafblind. And it's kind of like, how do you get one person who's responsible for running around Wyoming, Minnesota, one person, one person in New York, Florida? I mean, it's kind of like, so you have very limited staff that are trying to work with several hundred children. California has over 1,000 children. I'm thinking there's like maybe a full-time person in Texas. And like, how are they going to get around the state of Texas? So there's a very limited amount of people who are working. They're very talented people. They deserve to be paid well to attract them and to retain your staff who is qualified.
So
And
why?
we're
Quick,
not
quick
funding it.
question. Why is it just one person though? If there's, you're talking about like teaching in elementary school. I mean, why is there one person for all of these
Yeah.
children?
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. What they do with the deaf blind projects is they provide technical assistance. It's a wonderful program where they teach the kids and the family in their home. They go to interact with the children in their home school. They work with the teachers there. They have to help the schools adjust to working with a deaf blind child, and they help the family develop strategies. So it's a wonderful where they go out to talk to people. You have like the amount of money that's left. Um, there's the administrative rent, um, benefits, employee benefits. Once that's paid, you have barely enough money to hire more than one person. I mean, a lot of these programs might have two people full time, but it's like, no, you have a lot of one full time person, then you have a lot of consultants, part time people working, or a lot about it's they're not paid fairly. The fact that New York, New York has 600, we receive less than $1,000 per pupil in a lot of these states,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not, you can't cover one refreshable braille display for less than $1,000. It's really hard. There's I've got meetings with a whole bunch of people. I take a nonpartisan approach to this, so I'm meeting with um, everyone, and I've been very fortunate. I just scheduled an appointment with someone in Kansas and another New York representative today. But the key goal is to make these people aware that there are certain bits of legislation that are very, very particular. That appropriations funding for the Office of Special Education Programming and the Department of Education just needs to be doubled, tripled, and it would still be less than 10 million. It might be 50 million or so. It's a very small amount of money as it
Uh-huh.
is. If they were to triple it, no one would notice. It
Right.
was,
Right.
so it's kind of like, look, but it would be so helpful because these kids, I mean, sure, you have these, the technology. You put the kids are growing up. So basically, when you're young, people don't understand. Um, what, charge. Let me see. Okay, charge our population. Basically, there's charge syndrome, Usher syndrome, and Down syndrome, the three leading genetic causes. Um, and the majority of that blind population, it's older because as you age, you lose your vision and hearing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very small minority number of people who actually have, I won't say minority, but there's a small portion of our population that is completely has very, very limited vision and hearing from childbirth. It's a very small,
Right.
overall 3% of our population.
Okay. So
So,
yeah,
uh,
that's great. I just, but they're wrapping me up. I do want to ask if somebody out there is two final questions. The software, is there any free or I guess, affordable software out there that you could recommend for the deaf-blind population? Because I know myself working on in higher education on the university level, we're always trying to find good, affordable software. So is there any software out there that you could recommend for the deaf-blind population that could be free to download or affordable?
No, actually, I think that's a good question, Stuart. They no. When you're deafblind, you basically MacGyver the solutions. So, for example, I have my some people use area. I use real-time captioning. Some people use sign language, tactile sign language. Um, I use real-time captioning. The software you can take Microsoft Word. You use it's how you work with the features,
Uh-huh.
and there's navigability for screen readers, website accessibility, coding in WCAG is critical, and having accessible documents. 508. You have to have, so it's not enough to have your website to be accessible. The documents that are posted on your website need to be accessible.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things where, so the software has become a lot more powerful. Like our products now have accessibility features built in. I use let me see. I use the word. So when I have okay my screen like that, I have just changed the accessibility
Yeah.
settings on my
Lower
program.
it. Lower it a little
Oh, can
bit.
I
Yes.
bring it down? Okay.
And you
Can
say
you
that
see?
you,
Okay.
you say that also converts into Braille?
Okay. Oh, let me um. Oh, okay. Oh, lowered a bit. Oh, okay.
No, you did lower it. It was good. It was good.
Does that work?
Yes, that's perfect. But
Okay. Okay.
I see me speaking as I'm speaking. That's
Uh,
great. But okay, so but now you also spoke about Braille, like the
okay. Braille ready formatting.
yes,
Braille
Braille.
ready
Yes,
accessibility.
can you? Okay, so what programs are out there? Are there any, or is that super expensive? I mean, let's talk about it for a second because I want our audience to know.
Sure. Oh, with Braille, I don't use. I understand it. The key thing is Braille note takers and refreshable Braille displays. They are additional products that you plug in to
Yes.
your. I I would add it to add on to my screen or to my typewriter, but it's the note takers, the Braille refreshable displays expensive, very expensive, and there's a big wealth gap in the amount of technology that's out there. That's why it's so critical. There's the National Deafblind Equipment Fund, but it's limited to lower income, and it does not take into account the fact that hey, this equipment is very expensive. Your refreshable braille display is $3,500, $6,000. Is not unheard of.
Okay.
$15,000. I mean,
So
like it's and so the braille display would come with a Bluetooth, hook up with Bluetooth and would interact with your phone,
yeah.
interact with your tablet, interact with your notebook, your computer once you
Wow.
bolt it on. So it's really it's the software that's built into that specific product. There's a whole bunch of different products out there. Many firms make really good products. It's just you have 80 cell, a 40 cell, 20 cell. It depends on what you need. The note takers are a little different than the refreshable braille displays. It's all they're amazing. But the fact is that we know that people who are braille literate and braille literacy is critical. I mean, like the older generation of people, you might see them walking around with a stylus, a pen, and they would pinprick the pages, to make the braille on their pages and pass it to someone, make a braille note on the spot. So today's generation, we don't have a lot of. I know the Braille literacy rates. The Texas Governor's Commission Chair Ron Lucy, he was telling me about how bad the Braille literacy is in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and it is national. I mean, like Braille is not being well taught. People keep thinking, oh, you need screen readers. The younger generation wants to focus on the voiceover, the blind community.
Uh-huh.
The blind community really doesn't. Um, that's where our deaf-blind community is so powerful because our solutions work. Uh, Provide
Yes.
access for blind. They provide access for deaf, hard of hearing people. But Braille literacy is critical because in New York and around the country, around the world, accessible pedestrian signals. Right now, you can put Braille and raised lettering on your APS.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Here in New York, we're not doing that. We're putting out graphical images on the Braille on the APS. It's perverse. They're spending all this money installing APS that do not provide access. Look, our deaf-blind community, we need Braille on the APS because you need to understand what street corner you're on. Touch it and say, what street corner am I at? And then the Braille, the APS really should tell you how much time that you have to
Right.
cross the street,
Right.
tell you what direction you're facing. But right now, it just typically says, watch for traffic,
Y-
which is not really helpful when you have low vision.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you look at the other set of them,
That's that's a that's
APS
a
has
strong
graphical
point.
images of a figure with a tapping with a white cane in their hand, and it's kind of like if you are blind, how are you going to see a graphical image?
Okay. So
So,
Mark, we've got to wind up. Listen, I could sit here all day and hear you because I'm loving all of this information I'm getting. But unfortunately, we do have a time limit. This is TV. This is TV. So I do want to question what title do you call? Are you like a political lobbyist? Are you a lawyer? Are you a politician? What is your career title? Because you seem to know a lot. Do you just call yourself an advocate, activist? So how would you? And I'm going to do this at the very end because I sent you an email and asked, how did you want me to introduce you? And you never got back. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to have to introduce you at the end. So now I'm going to have to introduce you at the end of the interview because I didn't know, but you're very interesting.
yes, thank you, Doctor. I'm an entrepreneur.
You're an
I
entrepreneur.
I've